Hi, my name's Nikel and I'm a senior project lead at Macmillan Education. I'm going to be speaking more about my role and giving you some of the highlights from my career experiences so far. I hope that you find it useful. Macmillan Education is an educational publisher, and that means that we create textbooks, resources and materials for schools and teaching institutions globally. The main focus is English language teaching, ELT, but we do a lot of resources as well for international school curriculums. I work specifically in the custom publishing team, and our main area of expertise there is to take the courses from our main publishing and tailor them to better suit the needs of individual schools or institutions, even countries that we might be working more closely with. My main responsibilities as a project lead fall under the category of project management, as you might expect. So that means that I manage and set the project budget and schedules, as well as managing the progress of the project throughout its lifetime. So this would be from the author manuscript to image selections and audio recordings, finally to the printed book and also its final delivery into schools. What I love most about my job is the variety. I work on numerous different proposals in any given week, and these can come from colleagues or customers across the globe, including Asia, Central Europe, Western Europe and Latin America. So what I do specifically would be to take in any requests that come in, be it a cover change or content changes, as I explained earlier, and costing those, putting together a P&L and a rationale that I'll then present to the senior management board, who will decide whether we'll do the project or not. I'll also suggest selling prices for the customer and order quantities that we'll need for it to be approved. To do this, I have to work with colleagues from across the business, including sales, rights, media and production. On top of those daily tasks, my role can be very varied. So in the last few months, I've also developed the new custom publishing brochure, which involved writing and editing the marketing copy, selecting images to use and preparing the case studies from some of our customers and projects. I've also delivered presentations to our regional sales teams in Asia and Western Europe, just showcasing some of the projects that custom publishing has already worked on this year and ways that we can work together better going forward. As Macmillan Education is a global company, we were already used to working with customers and colleagues in different regions and time zones. Luckily, most of what I do can be completed remotely via email or video calls, so fortunately COVID hasn't been too much of a disruption in that sense. It did admittedly take a bit of getting used to at the beginning, just trying to resettle the routine and find an ideal working space. We also had to be more creative in responding to customers and being able to support teachers who were having to use our materials virtually and not be in the classroom. A lot of international book fairs have also been cancelled this year, and travel restrictions are still in place, so that could have a different impact on the way that we work in the future. I studied modern languages at university, and my degree included a year abroad. As I majored in French and Spanish, I decided to split my year between Reunion Island, which is a French territory next to Mauritius, and Cuba. As you can imagine, I had an amazing time, and it really solidified my desires to kind of do something different and to travel more. Unfortunately, the year that I did my year abroad was also the year of the financial crash in 2008 to 2009, and that kind of shook my notions of going straight into the ideal career job after graduation. What I decided to do instead was take another year out and travel more, but work this time. So I took a post as an English language assistant in Martinique, and that was my first sort of step into teaching, and also the first time that I was solely responsible for other people's learning and for their progression. Once I came back to London, I decided to do a teaching qualification, and I did my CELTA, which is an English language teaching certificate. Once I had that, I took a teaching post in China, which was a huge culture shock, but probably one of the best and most important decisions that I'd made at that time. I was given such a great experience to work in a middle school and really immerse myself, not only with the culture and the students, but into teaching. And I was working with class sizes of maybe 60 or more students, which is unheard of in the UK, all different abilities and levels. So it was really hard, but it was a really good learning curve for me as well. After China, I moved to Madrid, this time with much more manageable class sizes. I was working maybe with up to 10 or 12 students at a time, but the scope of ages was much more varied. So some of my youngest students were still in primary school and they were maybe 6 or 7 years old, up to my adults who were maybe over 60. Madrid is a great city and I had the most amazing time, but that year kind of changed how I felt about teaching, and I decided that ELT teaching wise wasn't for me anymore. With my teaching experience, publishing seemed like the next logical step for me. I applied for an internship at Pearson and was successful and got a role in their UK schools division. So I was working with the English team first, preparing resources for GCSE. At the end of the internship, I applied for a more permanent role with the vocational team, and this time as a project editor. So I was working on BTECs and A-levels in a variety of subjects, including engineering, construction and IT. After maybe 2 years with Pearson, I moved to Cambridge University Press and was a senior development editor first in the exams publishing team. But this was probably my last editorial role. I didn't feel like I was getting the challenges that I needed, and I realised that editorial probably wasn't best suited for me. So I then took a role in education reform as a project consultant, and this role really helped to push me into a completely different area while still using the skills that I developed thus far. I gained a lot more confidence and experience in project management, of course, but also in customer relations and finance and budget. I worked with organisations and ministries in a variety of different countries, including the UAE, Myanmar and Vietnam, and I was even lucky enough to be able to visit some of those countries, so that was a big plus. There have been a lot of pivotal moments for me over the last few years, but I think what has worked really well in my favour is learning to be more assertive and to use my voice. And this can be something as simple as asking a question in a meeting if I don't understand or if I want more information about a subject, or just adding my opinion in a team discussion. It's really important that people can see that you're there, not just physically, but also to know that you're engaged. On the other end of the scale, in a more serious way, it's also being able to advocate for yourself and stand up for things that you don't think are right, or any injustices that you might see in the workplace. So being able to do this has meant that I've been part of inclusion groups and been able to speak on panels, do networking events, and just a lot more public speaking. I think speaking more, being more assertive has also made me a lot more comfortable speaking to senior colleagues and management. If you are interested in a career in publishing, one piece of advice that I would give would be to research the roles first. So many people think that they want to be an editor and then later find out that they're better suited to maybe sales or marketing. I have had a lot of different experiences and picked up a lot of skills along the way. One thing that I think has been consistent for me is my willingness to take on different opportunities and to seek new challenges. I've learned over the years to build on being more assertive as well, and as much as possible to put myself in different surroundings and outside of my comfort zone, which has worked for me so far. If you have a creative mind and want to make an impact, then educational publishing could be for you too. Thanks.